Power armor in Fallout 4 is unlike any other armor or weapon. It's like a vehicle that you get inside, and as a result you become a walking wrecking machine. And in this guide I will go through everything you need to know about power armor, including the benefits, perks, modifications and more. Hi, I'm Mo and I'm trapped in Fallout. When wearing power armor, you automatically get a number of benefits, which without power armor can only be achieved through legendary effects or perks. When wearing power armor, you automatically negate any fall damage. You also greatly reduce the amount of radiation damage you take, and when wearing power armor, your strength special stat becomes the maximum value, allowing you to carry much more. Unlike standard armor in Fallout 4, power armor behaves more like a vehicle. In order to use power armor, you need three key components. First, you will need a power armor frame and a number of power armor body parts. Power armor frames can typically be found all over the Commonwealth and can also be purchased from vendors such as Atoro in Diamond City. Power armor body parts can also be found abandoned in power armor frames and can also be purchased from vendors. The body parts come in a few flavors. Specifically, you will find power armor helmets, torsos, left and right arm parts, as well as left and right leg part. The third component that you will need when using power armor are fusion cores. Fusion cores act like the battery of a power armor and provide power. When looking at a fusion core, you will notice that it has an amount of juice out of 100, and this power is consumed as it is used inside a power armor. When the fusion core reaches 0, then that fusion core cannot be used again for the power armor because it's basically run out of juice. Again, just like power armor frames and power armor body parts, you will find fusion cores all over the Commonwealth and again can also be purchased from vendors. Before diving any deeper into power armor, let's quickly talk about the perks that you probably want to invest some points in order to get the best and most out of your power armor modification. The first two perks are in the strength tree, and they are the armorer and the blacksmith perks. The more ranks you have between these two perks, the more you will be able to modify your power armor body parts. The next perk that you want is the science perk, which is found in the intelligence perk tree. Again, for the same reasons, the more ranks you have in this perk, the more you will be able to modify your power armor. Let's quickly talk about the concepts that we've already mentioned in this video, i.e. the three things. You will need a power armor frame, you will need fusion cores, and you will need power armor body parts. And we'll also talk about this power armor station as well. So how do you actually get into the process of modifying a power armor? Well, the first thing you need is this thing, a power armor frame. Once you have a power armor frame, what you want to do is enter the transfer menu, and from here you can now transfer power armor body parts onto that frame. And notice that as I transfer each of these parts individually, they start to sort of display on the power armor frame. So if I transfer the helmet, then notice the helmet is now visible. If I transfer, say, the right arm and the left arm and the torso and so on, then notice that as I start transferring these bits, they begin to become visible on the power armor body parts. Now, to actually enter a power armor, again you interact. The first thing you will do is actually insert this thing, a fusion core. And once you have a fusion core, you can now go inside this power armor frame. So at this point, we now have power armor body parts applied to the power armor frame that is powered by a fusion core. Now, to actually modify this power armor, what you need to do is walk with your power armor next to this thing, a power armor station, and then exit the power armor. And when you do that, given that you've just walked next to the power station with your power armor close by, if you now interact with the power armor station, you will now begin to enter into this, the power armor modification window, at which point your power armor will be placed right in front of the power station, giving you now the ability to modify your power armor. Once you are inside this menu, you will now notice each of the power armor body parts. So to begin with, we've got the helmet, left arm, left leg, right arm, and so on. If you now select each of these ones individually, you now have further things that you can change for that part of the power armor body part. So for the helmet, we can change this, the top option, which is the model, or we can change this, which is the paint, or we can do some additional things, which I would like to call add-ons or additional installs. And these things are specific to each part of the body part you're looking at, but we'll go into that in a moment. First, let's talk about this first option, the model. When modifying the model of a particular body part, all you're really doing is actually increasing the defense status of that body part. So if you have a look, if I had, say, Mark 1, then my ballistic defense would be 220 and my energy defense would be 140. But if I were to, say, apply the latest one or the greatest modification available, then that bumped up all the way to 320 for the ballistic defense and 240 for the energy defense. The model option of any given power armor body part effectively does just that. It increases the base defense of that part of the body armor. Next, we're going to take a look at the paint options. So the paint options typically enhance some attribute associated with the power armor. So for instance, if I looked at this thing, the blue paint, if all the body parts were blue paint, then this would increase the endurance as long as every single body part was painted blue. However, if I looked at this one, the aquatic camouflage paint, then again this has a sort of like a blue tint, but this would increase the sneaking ability of that part of the body armor, again on the assumption that every other body part was painted the same color. So paints on body armor usually increase some attribute associated with the power armor, and that is not to be confused with the defense rating. So things like luck, things like strength, and so on. Now let's look at this, the no misc mod, which is again something I'm calling add-ons or additional installs. With this, so specifically to the helmet, we can install things like this, so the rad scrappers, which when installed, if you now consume any food, then you will not have any radiation damage as a result. If you looked at something else, such as say the targeting HUD, then when this is installed, then your HUD will now start to highlight living target. Typically, just like the other ones, you can only have one thing installed at a time. And lastly, you have this sort of additional options. So here, because of DLC, I'm able to get a Tesla helmet, or because this is a helmet, I'm able to also modify the headlamp of the helmet. Typically, every power armor body part has these three options. You've got the model, you've got the paint, and you've got the specific install add-on. And based on this, you actually can modify your armor. Now, the last thing to mention here really is specific installs. Unlike the helmet, which when we looked at the add-ons, we can have, say, the matrix overlay or an internal database that increases intelligence. This is actually different for different parts of your body. So for the arms, for instance, if we go into add-ons, then we can install things like the rusty knuckles, which increase bleeding damage. When looking at a leg body part specifically, and we look at the add-ons, then we can do something like this, have an explosive vent, which increases the damage radius for impact landing movements. And lastly, for torso, again, that also has its own unique type of add-on. So for instance, if we look at the torso, we can have something like the jetpack, which will allow us to basically fly for short periods of time. So given all of that, what we've just discussed, the model will effectively increase the damage of the power armor as a whole. The paint will increase some attribute, and the add-ons, given that you can have different add-ons for different parts of your power armor, will basically make your power armor pretty unique in its entirety. Now, the last thing to talk about is durability or health. If you look at the health for this on the left-hand side, you will see that this is currently 240 out of 240. If we looked at this one currently has a health of 146 out of 240. And with that, if you look on the bottom of the screen, you will see a repair option. You can use the power armor station not just to modify your power armor, but you can also use it to repair your power armor. So in this case, the repair button is highlighted out for the helmet because this is currently at full health or full durability. For the left arm, however, I can repair this because this has actually a reduced health. The way you basically reduce the health of any given power armor body part is by simply using your power armor and taking damage. To repair, you simply hit the repair button, and then this will start to use some resources from your workstation to repair that armor. The other thing to note is, depending on the armor type, different resources will be required. For say something like a more basic power armor, you may only need some steel. But say for something like this, the XO2, you usually need significantly more different types of material to repair the armor itself. Now that you understand a little bit more about modifying your power armor, let's revisit the perks and look at some perks that specifically affect wearing and using power armor in the Commonwealth. The first perk you want to look at is actually in the strength tree and is unlocked all the way at level 10, and that perk is the Pain Train. When you have access to this perk, when you're basically running, you can run into your enemies, and as a result you can cause them to stagger and actually cause some HP damage also. With higher ranks you will cause more damage. The next perk you want to look at is in the intelligence tree, and it is unlocked at level 9 of intelligence, and that is the Nuclear Physicist perk. With this you will start to do some more damage with radiation based weapons, but more importantly your fusion cores will actually begin to last a lot longer. At rank 1 is 25%, at rank 2 is 50%, and at rank 3 they will last twice as long. And the last thing that you may also worth considering is collecting the repair Bobblehead that is found at the Corvega assembly plant. Collecting the Bobblehead will further increase the duration of your fusion cores by another 10%, which will basically stack with the Nuclear Physicist perk. If you're not sure where the location is, it's basically far southeast of Sanctuary, right down over here. It is also somewhat directly south of Starlight Drive-In. In this guide, I went through everything you need to know about getting power armor, modifications, perks and more. That said, you do need fusion cores to be able to power your power armor. Why not click on the video you see on the screen now, and I will show you how to get an unlimited number of fusion cores to power your power armor. Click on the video you see on the screen now to find out more.